They're not coming back. You know it. But some part of you still waits for the message, the apology, the moment that never arrives. You replay what you said, what you didn't say. You wonder if loving them better would have made them stay. But holding on to what could have been only keeps you stuck in a chapter life has already closed. Letting go isn't about pretending it didn't hurt. It's about finally choosing to stop bleeding for something that's already dead. This video isn't about cliches, distractions, or surface-level advice. It's about clarity, about facing what you've been avoiding. 7 steps, each one grounded in psychological truth, not theory, but lived experience. You don't have to follow them perfectly. You just have to stop running from what they reveal. Moving on isn't just emotional. It's psychological. And healing doesn't come from time, it comes from action. You won't only be getting comfort here, you'll also be getting clarity. Each step gives you the why, a psychological insight. The how, a grounded, doable action. And the anchor, a positive affirmation to make it stick. I'm not here to tell you to just move on. I'm here to walk you through it, honestly and gently. Because healing is not passive. It's an act of reclaiming yourself, piece by piece, deliberately. And it begins here. Step 1. Acknowledge the truth without filtering. It's almost midnight. You unlock your phone, open the chat, then close it. Again, you scroll up to that last message. The one where they said, "I can't do this anymore." You want to believe it meant something else. That maybe they were tired, hurt, that maybe tomorrow they'll text again. Your thumb hovers over the keyboard. Just one message, you think, just to keep the door open. But something inside you knows. You're not texting them. You're begging the past to rewrite itself. And that's not love. That's delay. Denial is the heart's first defense. When something breaks, the brain doesn't accept it immediately. It rewrites it. Maybe we'll try again later. They just need space. If I had said one more thing, it might have been different. This is a story we tell to avoid collapsing under the weight of truth. But truth is the beginning of peace. And that truth is this: the relationship ended, not just in reality, but in meaning. It's not waiting for revival. It's not paused. It's over. And while love may still be present, love alone is not enough to make something work. Compatibility, emotional availability, timing, these things are non-negotiable, no matter how strong the feeling. Now write down the facts, not the stories, not the excuses, not the hopes. The actual facts. When it ended, what they said, what they showed you through action. Reread the painful texts if you need to. Sit with the words that hurt. Not to punish yourself, but to anchor yourself in reality. You cannot move on from a fantasy. You can only move on from what actually happened. This works because the brain's emotional pathways don't start to rewire until the loop is declared closed. As long as there's a maybe, your mind will keep scanning for signs and analyzing breadcrumbs. That's not healing, it's emotional surveillance. Say this out loud. Facing the truth isn't weakness, because this is how I get to take my power back. Step 2. Grieve with precision, not chaos. You're not crying over just a person. You're crying over the morning texts, the inside jokes, the version of yourself that existed when they loved you. You miss the plans you made together, the idea that someone saw you, really saw you and chose you. But the tears won't tell you that, they just come. And it all feels like one big, aching blur that refuses to be named. Here's the trap. When grief is vague, it becomes overwhelming. You think you're grieving them, but you're actually mourning 5 different things at once. The future you imagined, the identity you built in the relationship, the emotional safety you felt at night, the validation, the dream version of them you held on to, even when reality had already started to drift. And because it's all tangled up, you can't tell where one wound ends and another begins. Without realizing it, you start spiraling. Because you don't know what exactly you lost, only that it hurts. It's like being haunted by something you can't describe. This is where precision changes everything. Your brain can't process pain in abstract. It needs categories. It needs to file the grief away correctly so it doesn't keep leaking into your present. Emotional chaos comes from trying to grieve everything at once, instead of naming what actually died. The process of healing doesn't begin with relief. It begins with clarity. Now, sit down and write this. What specifically am I grieving? Make a list. I'm grieving the way they made me feel seen. I'm grieving the belief that they were my forever. I'm grieving the identity I had as someone who was loved. Label it all. And then go further. Which of these losses are about them, and which are about me? This gives your grief a structure. It gives your pain a name. And what you can name, you can start to let go of consciously, steadily, and with less resistance. This works because precision reduces emotional flooding. When grief is sorted, like files in a drawer, it stops hijacking your mind every hour. It becomes something you're tending to, not drowning in. Say this out loud. I don't need to make sense of all the pain right now. I just need to recognize what I'm holding and start setting it down. Step 3. Cut off the supply. You say you're moving on, but your screen time tells a different story. Their profile is still bookmarked. You still check if they've watched your story. You haven't deleted the messages, you just archived them, just in case. And somehow they're still in your head, rent-free, every night before you sleep. Why? Because you haven't actually stopped feeding the attachment. Here's the hard truth. Emotional cravings work like any other craving. The brain is addicted to the hope of connection. Each scroll, each accidental peek at their new post, each reread of an old sweet message, it's another hit. A drip feed of emotional dopamine. A way to keep the high going, even when the relationship is over. The first thing you need is an emotional detox. And the first step in detoxing is cutting off the supply. The psychological pattern is simple. Reward circuits fire every time you get even a tiny reminder of them. You think you're just reminiscing, but your brain thinks the relationship might still be active. That's why you can't stop thinking about them. You've trained your mind to expect another dose of them at any moment. Until the loop is broken, you'll stay emotionally entangled, no matter how much time passes. Now, remove the supply chain. Mute or block their socials, not as a game, but as a discipline. Delete the threads. Clear the chat history. Get rid of shared playlists, reminders, even old notes on your phone. And if they reach out under the guise of checking in, recognize it for what it is: emotional recycling. You don't need to be cruel, but you do need to be clear. Say no to friendly limbo. It's just another way to keep the door half open. This works because each time you resist contact, you shrink the neural bond. Each day you go without a hit, your brain rewires itself. The cravings don't last forever, but they will renew if you keep feeding them. No contact isn't petty, it's neurological rehab. Say this out loud. This isn't about cutting them out, it's about reclaiming space in my own mind. I don't need breadcrumbs, I need peace. Step 4. Stop chasing closure. You're still waiting for the final word, the conversation you never had, the moment when everything finally makes sense. Maybe they'll call, maybe they'll text with an apology or an explanation that ties up the loose ends. Maybe, just maybe, they'll give you the clarity you've been craving. But in the silence, you're left with one question: why isn't the closure coming? Here's the truth. Closure is a myth. It's not something another person can give you. It's not an apology, a conversation, or an explanation. It's not an event. It's a state of mind you have to create for yourself, with or without their participation. When we chase closure, we're chasing something that doesn't exist in the way we imagine it. We think if we can just piece together the remaining fragments of the relationship, everything will make sense. But the reality is, closure is often an idea we project onto the situation. We expect some grand resolution, a final handshake, an emotional epiphany that will finally make the hurt stop. But the truth is, that moment rarely comes, and waiting for it is just a stalling tactic. Now stop looking for closure in their words, actions, or explanations. Acknowledge that you may never get the clarity you want. Instead, create your own. Write down the truth of the relationship. What did you learn? What did you lose? What's the lesson buried underneath all the pain? The only closure that matters is the one you give yourself. This works because real closure comes from internal truth. It's an emotional release, not a conclusion. The need for closure is a form of attachment. It's a refusal to let go because we believe there's something missing. But the longer you wait for the missing piece, the longer you keep your own healing at bay. Accept that you have everything you need within yourself. Closure doesn't happen when they say their final piece. It happens when you stop waiting for it. Say this out loud. I don't need their explanation to find peace. The truth I've discovered is enough to set me free. Step 5. Confront the ego injury. It hits when you least expect it. Scrolling through stories, hearing a song, seeing their name. Not because you want them back, but because it stings deeply, and you don't know why. You ask yourself, do I miss them, or do I just feel discarded? That question is the doorway to real healing. The truth is, not all heartbreak is about love lost. A significant part of your pain may be ego injury. Being rejected, replaced, or unseen doesn't just hurt your heart. It hits your identity. It scrapes against your worth, your value, your sense of being chosen. That kind of pain can masquerade as longing, but it's actually something else, a wound to how you see yourself. This is where many people get stuck. They confuse emotional grief with identity collapse. They think they're still in love when really they're stuck in the echo of, why wasn't I enough? That question becomes a parasite. It feeds self-doubt. It loops in your mind, even when the relationship has nothing left to offer. Now, get brutally honest with yourself. Ask, am I mourning the person or the way they made me feel about myself? Are you upset because you lost something meaningful or because you feel devalued? Write it out. Trace the feeling. What narrative about yourself did this breakup challenge? Was it your desirability, your sense of importance, your illusion of control? Once you separate the ego wound from the emotional truth, the fog starts to lift. You can grieve the relationship for what it actually was, not what your self-image needed it to be. This works because the ego isn't the enemy, but it can distort reality. When you don't recognize the ego's role in your pain, you misdiagnose the problem. And if you misdiagnose, you mistreat. You can't soothe the wound by chasing someone who caused it. You soothe it by reclaiming your sense of self-worth, independent of how they treated you. Say this out loud. Their choice doesn't define my value. What I lost wasn't proof that I'm unworthy. It was proof that I need to see myself more clearly. Step 6. Reclaim your energy. You wake up, and there's still the first thought. Not because you want them back, at least not entirely, but because your mind keeps looping, overanalyzing, replaying, wondering what you should have said, what they should have done. It's like your brain is hijacked, and quietly, day by day, it's draining you. This is the part no one warns you about. Breakups don't just hurt emotionally, they drain your life force. The obsession, the replaying, the compulsive checking, it all costs energy, and it's energy you're no longer putting into yourself. That's the real loss. Not just them, but the way your attention, your vitality, your drive gets siphoned away from you. Obsession is an unconscious agreement. I'll stay stuck here, thinking about them, instead of rebuilding my own momentum. You don't need to be perfect or inspired to break this loop. You just need to move. Now shift your focus to small, repeatable actions that restore a sense of progress. Not massive life changes, just micro wins. Go for that run. Clean your space, text a friend, build your body. Focus on your craft. Do the one thing you've been postponing. Every time you act, you take a brick out of the prison your mind has built. Set a goal, not to get over them, but to reclaim 10% of your energy, then 20%, then more. Progress doesn't always look like a breakthrough. Sometimes it looks like doing the dishes when your chest is heavy, or showing up to the gym when you'd rather spiral. Each small win proves one thing: you still have agency. This works because rumination feeds on stillness. The less you move, the more space the pain occupies. But motion disrupts the mental feedback loop. Not because it erases the emotion, but because it reminds your nervous system that you're not powerless. When you redirect energy back into your own life, your center of gravity starts to return. And with it, your power. Say this out loud: I don't need to fix everything today, but I will not surrender my energy to someone who's no longer here. My focus belongs to me now. Step 7. Make peace with the unfinished. Some loves don't end, they just stop. And even long after the calls fade and the pictures are archived, their ghost lingers. Not because you're weak, but because part of you was built in that time, with that person. This step isn't about closure. It's about coexistence, about letting the memories live somewhere inside you without owning you. You're not haunted because it's unfinished. You're haunted because you've tried to erase it. And what we try to erase tends to echo louder. Stop trying to surgically remove the past. Instead, give it a place. Don't rewrite it. Don't idolize it. Don't pretend it never mattered. Make peace with the fact that it shaped you and then outgrow it. Now, create a ritual of release. Not to forget, but to refile. That might mean writing down what you learned, revisiting the timeline, and naming the turning points. Saying thank you, even silently, to what that love taught you about your needs, your blind spots, your capacity. Then symbolically close the chapter, a deleted thread, a burned letter, a moved photo. Not for drama, for clarity. This works because the brain doesn't forget emotional bonds, it reorganizes them. Integration is how you stop living in the past without denying it. Peace doesn't mean wiping the slate clean, it means standing in the present without flinching at the memories. Say this out loud: this love was part of my becoming. I don't need to delete it, I only need to place it where it belongs, behind me. Moving on isn't something that happens to you. It's something you do. You don't wait to feel ready. You decide to be done, not with love, but with the illusion that love alone was enough. These 7 steps, they're not magic. It's a framework, a structure for the chaos, a way to reclaim what's yours: your mind, your energy, your time, your future. You've already lived the hardest part, the loss. Now comes the work: rewiring your focus, confronting your patterns, and choosing yourself without negotiation. So let it be clear, this is not about erasing the past. It's about refusing to stay stuck in it. It's not about pretending it didn't matter, it's about realizing it doesn't define you. Healing isn't passive, it's active. It's not waiting to stop hurting, it's choosing to start rebuilding. And that starts now. Not when they come back, not when it makes sense, now, because you're no longer asking if you should let go. You're deciding that you will. If this video spoke to you, don't just sit with it, move with it. Rewatch the steps, write them down, choose one to commit to today. Healing doesn't come from knowing what to do, it comes from doing it. You've waited long enough. Now it's time to leave the past where it belongs. This is where healing stops being a concept and starts becoming a choice. For more content that helps you navigate life on a deeper psychological level beyond surface advice, subscribe to the channel and stay connected. Share this with someone carrying the quiet ache of a breakup, who needs a gentle reminder that healing is possible. Don't wait for time to heal you. Heal yourself now.